I'd like to thank our reader, Connie Botterin, a great friend of mine from Portland, for her wonderful job today, and Karen Drucker and our music team for the fabulous music today. We're continuing with our September theme of Celebrate Love and Joy, with our topic being Joy Deep in My Soul. Our message today is about how to jubilantly express happiness and how to choose options in our life that bring us joy and peace and that life that we so yearn to have. When we learn to tap fully into living in joy, it seeps deep into our soul, and life indeed is full of all we truly desire. So your question for the day is this: what is the one choice you can make today to jubilantly express your happiness, to choose life options that bring you joy, and to yearn to live in peace and joy? One more time. What is that one choice that you can make today to jubilantly express your happiness, to choose life options that bring you joy, and to yearn to live in peace and joy? So the title of Joy Deep in My Soul brings joy to me. Most people who know me know that I'm all about joy. It's a very high vibration on my energy scale. There's something about connecting with the divine and truly embracing my spiritual life that has me feel like dancing, and it feels like joy deep in my soul. And since it seems to be the month for acronyms, I'm going to give you an acronym today for joy. Jubilance, expressing happiness with deep enthusiasm. Options, choosing what brings you joy. Yearning, creating an intense longing for joy. Well, let's start by looking at that J for jubilance. I'm going to invite you right now to make your face as flat as you can be without any expression at all. Now put a smile on your face. Did you notice as you went to smile that something else seemed to happen? There's an immediate response in your entire body when you smile. And when you bring that bit of joy to your life just by putting a smile on your face. When I was in high school, I remember doing a dance to the tune Put on a Happy Face. I was in the musical Bye Bye Birdie. The words are wonderful. Gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up, put on a happy face. Take off the gloomy mask of tragedy, it's not your style. You look so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook, stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look, slap on a happy grin, and spread sunshine all over the place. Just put on a happy face. It would be great if whenever something is happening in our life that we think is causing gloom or seems like a tragedy, if we could just put on a happy face. And I recognize it's not that easy. But what if you asked yourself, what keeps you from being jubilant, from putting on that happy face, from expressing happiness and joy? What do you allow to steal your joy? Is it a feeling of not being good enough? Of feeling inadequate in some way? Perhaps of hanging on to a grievance or a hurt? Or allowing someone else to take away your power? More often than not, it's that we're hurting and we lose track of who we are. Those loving beings who are children of God. In Lesson 282 of A Course in Miracles, there's a line that I have always embraced, and I just love it. Truth remains forever living in the joy of love. Truth remains forever living in the joy of love. Where are you not living in your joy of love? I invite you to remember you are a divine expression of the one life. And God wants for you only what it is you desire. Last week I quoted Emily Cady, and I think it's worth quoting again. Desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness with his infinite supply. A supply which is forever useless unless there is a demand for it. When we are not living in our joy, we're failing to claim our infinite supply, failing to listen to that tapping at the door of our consciousness. Our awareness is a huge factor in feeling joy. We feel joy when we choose to see it. I love what Edwene Gaines has to say about joy in her 4 spiritual laws of prosperity. Joy is a magnet. It draws more joy to it. And when you are feeling joy, you will naturally bring joy to other people, no matter what it is you're doing. And bringing joy to other people is always good. Bringing joy to other people is always good. I know that, and I know that you know that. I know that I feel very joyful inside when I can put a smile on someone else's face. How about you? So why is it so difficult for us to live in joy, to jubilantly express our happiness, and to bring joy to others? Perhaps Chris Michaels in Your Soul's Assignment has an answer to that question. Life is a series of roller coaster events that lift us up just to drop us back down. It's not the ride that's harmful. It's when we take it too seriously that it becomes dangerous. Are you taking life too seriously? Are you letting your joy be drained by worrying about things over which you have no control? Or maybe things that are way out in the future? Perhaps it's time that we each embrace that lesson 292 from A Course in Miracles. A happy outcome to all things is sure. And it continues, God guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet it is up to us when this is reached. I love that God guarantees that joy is the final outcome, but I think the most important part of that lesson is it's up to us when joy is reached. Yes, we do have a choice. Our awareness is a huge factor in feeling joy. We feel joy when we choose to see it, which leads us to that second letter in our joy acronym, O for options. You might be thinking, I see joy when I choose to see it. Yeah, right. She has no idea what's going on in my life. That's true, I don't. And it doesn't matter. I challenge you to believe that joy is an option you can choose. The story today about Joseph Merrick I found in Mark Batterson's Win the Day section on being able to make choices. Mark said, you may not be responsible, but you are response-able. We are able to respond to what is happening in our lives. If we choose to make the divine our partner in life and stand in a knowing that the universe is for us, it's really easy to find joy. How easy do you think it was for Joseph Merrick to declare, "I am happy every hour of the day"? Certainly, it was an option for him to be withdrawn and to let his situation create dis-ease and sadness every day. Instead, he chose to be happy. Jack and Cornelia Addington in Your Needs Met wrote this: "The only reason we are not filled with joy at all times is because we are letting our feelings be governed by outer experiences. Experiences have no power to make us feel sad or happy of themselves. It is only our interpretation of them." Some things happen that we might consider to be bad or even hurtful. And yet we do have options about how to interpret them. Now, I am in no way implying that you should dismiss your feelings or ignore sadness or hurt whenever it comes into your life. I am saying that we're beings of free will, and we can decide how long we want to stay in those feelings. Lesson 284 in the Course in Miracles says, "I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt." I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And Lesson 290 tells us, "My perfect happiness is all I see." I invite you today to seek only what it is that you know brings you joy. Decide to ask yourself how you might see the hurt or the sadness differently. Or ask yourself if you would rather have peace and joy than that feeling of sadness or hurt. Perhaps even allow yourself to release a grievance and replace it with knowing you can have more joy in your life when you do that. Dennis Merritt Jones in The Art of Being tells us this: "Make a decision today to either accept what is or do something about it. Stop swimming in the river of denial because it's polluted with hidden resentment towards yourself as well as others, and fear, and because it gets you nowhere fast." Hey, I know that sometimes I want to wallow in my self-pity, be in that state of poor me. And I've learned through the years that if I spend more than 10 or 15 minutes in that state, my life can literally go to hell in a handbasket. Victimhood is the lowest level of consciousness. Why would we want to stay there? Why would I want to stay in that state of self-pity and poor me? Let's take Dennis's advice. Do something about it. Choose to get out of that river of denial and move into joy. Create a flow in your life that's joyful. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes told us, "We cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. If it were not so, we would not be individuals." There is always a choice, always options. It's our job to choose the option that brings us peace and joy. Chris Michaels, in his book, Your Soul's Assignment, also put it this way: "Your soul's assignment is to express all that God is: love, joy, ease, peace, prosperity. That's the life God designed for you to live. But since the first gift of love is freedom, you are free to choose for yourself whether or not to honor your Creator's intention. And of course, we know our Creator's intention is for us to live in love and joy, in peace and freedom and safety. Why is it then that we choose otherwise? We know in the depths of our being that love and joy are the essence of who we are. So why do we choose to be sad or resentful or judgmental or any other state that brings us away from love and joy? Troward, in his Edinburgh lectures, has a theory about that. Why then does the individual make a negative choice? Because he does not understand the law of his own individuality and believes it to be a law of limitation instead of a law of liberty. Don't you think it's time that we let go of our limitations and make choices that have us feeling joy deep in our souls? How do we do that? By remembering that we have options, that we get to choose. As Eric Butterworth put it, and it is an important moment in your life when you discover for yourself the great truth that things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things which really count are the things that happen in you. What options do you want to be making in you? I suggest that you learn to yearn, to have an intense longing to live in peace and joy. And that brings us to the third letter of our acronym, Y for yearning. I wonder what might happen when you are yearning for joy if you just decided to choose joy anyway. Ernest Holmes and Richard Living wrote this: we cannot experience joy around us until we have created it within us. God is calling our attention to the happiness of living the abundant life. We have to create the yearning within us to experience joy, to find happiness, to find that abundant life. You know, even though I'm all about joy, in my life there have been times when I lost track of my joy. I yearned to be who I used to be. I yearned for happiness and peace, the peace that I used to feel. And at some point, it dawned on me that I was going to have to make it happen. I was going to have to be the one who took action. In How to Use the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes tells us everyone needs the warmth and color, the imagination and feeling of a sense of intimacy with the creative spirit. Our intellect yearns toward it as naturally as a rose turns to the sun. I was indeed yearning for that intimacy with the creative spirit that somehow had disappeared from my everyday actions. It was time I learned to take action and recognize that what I was deeply yearning for was possible for me. Edwin Gaines, in the 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, wrote this: directed faith is not a vague, hazy, wishful yearning. It is a powerful belief of expectancy that causes the universe to send us wonderful things. When I was in that state of having lost my joy, it was time for me to direct my faith, to have a sense of expectancy that would shift me back to my joyful being. I know I want the universe to send me wonderful things, especially when I feel I've lost my joy and I'm seeking to recapture it. My soul knew what I needed. I just had to pay attention to that yearning. I had to see that the joy deep in my soul was seeking me and wanted to show up again in my life in a big way. In this thing called you, Ernest Holmes writes about yearning. Every longing and yearning you have ever had, every secret desire of your soul, every constructive ambition you have ever had is a whispering of this life, assuring you that you are one with it. You are a concrete manifestation, a personification of it. When we're experiencing that longing, that yearning for something that appears to be missing in our lives, it's time to remember that there's only one life. It's God's life. And it's each of our lives right here and right now. We're not separate from our good, from our joy, from our freedom or peace, or whatever you might be seeking. We are one with it. Perhaps it's time we tap into that knowing that if we ask, it's given. It's time to step fully into faith. How about you? Are you willing? What is it that your soul is yearning for that might bring you joy in your life? What is it that you're seeking that might require you to direct your faith in such a way as to cause the universe to send it to you? Think about that and embrace a powerful belief in expectancy of receiving it. Then you can always know joy deep in your soul. So in summary, how might you experience that joy deep in your soul every moment of every day? Just remember, jubilance. Learn to feel and express happiness. Remember, joy is a magnet that draws more joy to it. Options. Remember, life is about choices. Choose joy. All that matters is what happens in you. Be response-able. Yearning. Have a strong desire to live in joy. Yearn for peace rather than suffering or discord. It's a powerful belief of expectancy that causes the universe to send us wonderful things. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so easily and willingly make the choice today to jubilantly express my happiness, to choose life options that bring me joy, and to yearn to live in peace and joy? And your challenge for the week? Make a conscious choice this week to live in joy. Have it penetrate deep into your soul. And I invite you to check in a couple times each day. See if you're experiencing joy. And if you're not, ask yourself how you might create it. Let's pray. We take a deep, nourishing breath. We just know that divine being that's love and joy and peace and ease and grace and comfort and safety is exactly who we are. That each of us has love and joy and freedom and anything that we're seeking right within us, waiting to be tapped into. So what I know to be the truth is that when we jubilantly feel and express happiness, when we choose options that bring joy into our lives, and when we yearn for that desire to live in joy, that all of that shows up in our lives. The universe is for us. And when we ask, it is given. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk about joy deep in my soul. And it's from all that gratitude that I release these words into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth, that heart of the divine has already called it good, already called it done, said yes to all of it. So I can just say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. I want to thank everyone that has been continuing to contribute. We are excited about our in-service Sunday next week, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But thank you again for all your contributions and for supporting this work that brings joy into my heart. Enjoy our offertory song.